And we're going to talk about racism on the mountain. Does it still exist? Are things getting better in our society? Are African Americans or are blacks lacking something cognitively, emotionally, that's causing them to, or causing us to be labeled as a danger to society, or to have a higher degree of criminal tendencies? Let's talk about it. During the Civil Rights era, the 1964 Civil Rights Act prohibited institutions and businesses from discriminating against African Americans, basically because of their skin color or because of their race. There have been issues with housing. There has been discrimination in housing. There has been discrimination in employment. There has been discrimination with voting rights. Again, there has been discrimination in housing, there has been discrimination in voting rights, and there has been discrimination in education. What is the problem? How can we fight and avoid this problem? First of all, to be able to fight, you must first realize that the problem exists. And I've collected some data that supports or that proves there is a problem. Incarcerations within the black community are 5 times higher than in other races. The white communities, Asians, Hispanic, it's very high in the black community. Now, when the Civil Rights Act was set in I believe it was 1964, the Civil Rights Act was put in place. It prohibited discrimination in employment, discrimination in education, discrimination in housing. There were rules put in place. But to combat these rules, or that spirit or that mindset that did not like that blacks were going to be brought or given an opportunity to compete at the same level as others, there had to be something to stop this. What can we do to stop it? Well, there's one group of people, there's one organization, or there's one demographic that you can legally discriminate against in employment, in housing, in education. You can discriminate against this group. What group is that? Prisoners, felons, convicted felons, inmates. You can legally hold them or bar them from certain jobs, from applying to positions in the military. Even after they have gotten out of jail and have served their time, they still have a felony or criminal record. They can be barred out of housing, out of many jobs, out of many job opportunities, educational opportunities, some colleges, some training opportunities, done. Housing situation, certain projects, contracts, done because you have a prison record. So, with this being in place, what did some organizations and some institutions decide to do? They decided to roll out the red carpet in the black communities that led right to the jails and to the penitentiaries. I've got some proof of that. I would like to go over some of that. 25% of blacks have a felon record, and only 6% of whites have a felon record. Many of these felonies have been, convicted felons have been exonerated. Get this. Blacks receive 53% of exonerations, and 69% of these exonerations are drug crimes. What does it mean to be exonerated? To be exonerated means to be freed or found innocent of crimes that you were previously convicted of. Attorneys get together, attorneys are paid, background is done, forensics has been able to uncover old cases, and they found that many of these black felons, most of the exonerations are from within the black community. Exonerations means you didn't do it. Later, evidence was found that they didn't do it. They were innocent of these crimes. So why is there a higher percent of exonerations in the black community? Blacks make up 69% of exonerations, 53% of exonerations, 69% are drug related. Remember, blacks only make up about 13% of the US population, yet they make up 69% of exonerations. What does that mean? Put two and two together. That means blacks are being falsely accused of crimes. Another statistic. The drug of choice in the black community is what law officials and authorities target. And this is by design. So, get the black man arrested, drug use, get arrested for speeding, arguing with the police, disruptive behavior. It's just an ongoing thing. And what happens is our prisons are disproportionately, or a disproportionate percentage of blacks that are incarcerated, that are locked up. And this is by design. Do you really feel that in a 13% African American population, that the prisons represent a true sample of the negative behavior or the negative connotations that are exhibited in the black community? Do you really feel that that is true? Black people want jobs, want opportunities, want families, want a nice house and a nice neighborhood, want the American dream like anybody else. There still exists systemic racism. Systemic means that this racism is built in. It is a machine. It is a mechanism that causes barriers to some people that aren't aware of these barriers. To fight against this hidden monster, to fight against these night attacks, I'll call them, we must be educated. We must be trained to recognize when there is a force that is against us. The number one thing that I want to convey in this message is, don't go to jail. Do not get yourself arrested. Do not get a felony record, because this felony record will allow the system to block you from certain jobs. It will allow the system to block you from certain educational opportunities. It will allow the system to keep you from joining some branches of the armed forces. Education and family. Only 45% of black men graduate from high school. Now, there's a percentage of those that go on and earn their GED. After a few hard knocks in the street, they'll go on and earn their GED. And some that have flunked out of high school or failed to graduate from high school went on and earned their GED and then earned a bachelor's degree, earned a master's degree, and even earned a doctorate. So high school dropouts does not mean that it is the end. Even having a prison record or a felony record is not the end. However, it's going to be a terrible barrier for you. Do not do the crime or you will do the time, and the time often lasts way beyond the time that you are released from prison and you continue toward the rest of your life. That record is going to follow you. Employment, education, the statistics are available. You can go to the U.S. Census. I was going to read a bunch of statistics to you, and you should be able to see the percentage of incarcerations that are exhibited in the communities, how these incarcerations disproportionately show a rate of African Americans incarcerated, locked up with felonies compared to whites and other races. I have a chart representing every state of the union that shows the disproportionate percentage of blacks that are incarcerated. I'm from Ohio. You can look at the list in Ohio. I live in Georgia now. Look at the list in Georgia. I'd like to go out west and visit. Look out there in California. Look in Texas. Look up in Maine and Rhode Island. Look in North and South Carolina. 50 states in the union show blacks incarcerated at an alarming rate and a much higher percentage and a much higher rate than other races. And because they have a felony record, because they're incarcerated, or when they get out they have a felony record, you can discriminate against them in employment. You can discriminate against us in job opportunities, in educational opportunities, and in housing opportunities. You can discriminate because they have on their record, on their background, felon, convicted felon. You went to jail, you committed a crime, so we don't have to hire him. We don't have to move him in this neighborhood. We don't have to give him an opportunity to advance because your background is tainted. So, knowledge is power. If this is a plan that is put in place to suppress the black community, to suppress the black man, to suppress this particular demographic, then we must be knowledgeable that this is something that has been put in place to combat our progress. And knowing is half the battle. Once you know that this is what has been put in place to attack your progress, then you must be diligent and vigilant not to try to cut corners to the point where you commit a crime or you commit a felony and your background or your record is destroyed, is tainted. Once again, proof that this mechanism has been put in place is the percentage of exonerations. Exonerations means being locked up and convicted and put in jail. Strategies are put forth where later it's found out that this convicted felon is innocent and he is exonerated, excused, dismissed of all convictions and of all crimes. And this happens at a rate of 53% in the black community. 69% is drug related. And blacks only make up 13% of the U.S. population. you are being corralled, controlled, roped off like cattle, using the penal system, the judicial system. Get wise. Use the opportunities that have been put in place to assist you and to help you and to support you. You can get loans for college. When there's a dispute, there's ways to go to court and file a civil suit for a dispute. You don't have to go beat somebody up. You don't have to shoot someone, which is another topic we're going to talk about later. Some people just don't need guns, don't need to have guns. And some people, I don't want to say it, but some people, a lot of us, are not spending enough quality time with our children, with our young men. And a young man needs to feel loved and accepted and appreciated. And when they don't get that from the home, they'll get it from the streets. And many times these streets are teaching these young men how to get ahead and how to get over, but through crime. And many times these crimes end up destroying a young man's future. So in summary, stay out of jail. Watch out who you spend time with, who you hang with. Do not be a statistic. I'm Doc V, and I'll see you next time.